Hello and welcome to another episode of the Crimson Podcast. I'm Jack Martin, joined by Cameron Bong, Ben Balian, and Charlie Quinn. Today we have a very special episode for you guys, a debate on the recent phone-free day held at BHS. Ben, you want to kick us off? What'd you think?
I thought it was really good. I'm someone who I like to be on my phone. I like to scroll on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. But I got a lot more work done, and being productive in the school setting is something I think is important because I didn't have to do as much as home. I was able to do whatever I really wanted when I got out of school, and I was really productive at lunch. I was working on a bit of a time crunch, so maybe not having my phone didn't make that much of an impact, but I definitely felt more locked in than when I have my phone. And it didn't really make an impact like in between classes and passing periods. If anything, I just felt more locked in and my day was better.
Well, for me, I didn't really like it because in between passing periods, I'm usually texting my parents, do you need a ride today? But I couldn't answer until right after school, which means I have to scramble to find a ride home and tell my parents what I'm doing last minute because not all my schedule is worked out all throughout the day. So it just sort of felt very limiting in the communication factor.
Yeah. I also, like Ben, I really thought the phone day was successful, and I think that the idea is really good. I've been hearing a lot about the communication aspect, and I think that more speaks to the ways in which our generation is used to communicating more than actually the possibility of communication. Because even though we've had our phones taken away from us, we still have access to calling our parents to the main office, emailing our parents. And I think that people, when they're given those opportunities that they're not maybe used to, they view it as being blocked from communication. But I think that those problems could easily be addressed if we adapt to different modes of communication.
It's also something that you can just take care of before you go to school. When you're in the car driving in the morning, all right, where are you going to pick me up today? Who's picking me up? That's it.
I disagree because yesterday I had a meeting after school. It was like a to be determined ending time. And in between classes, I'm not able to go down to the main office if my class is across the building from it and just tell my parents and ask my parents, hey, when are you able to pick me up? Because that doesn't really offer a clear line of communication. And in between passing periods, it's easy to just text them and wait for them to respond rather than if they're at work having to see if they're going to accept a call and they don't even know what their day looked like.
I feel like the phone system we have now is fine. I think they're away during instructional time where the students are supposed to be learning, but there's also time during free periods, for example, or during the passing time where Cam's saying, if you need to text your parents real quick, because it's so much more inconvenient to have to go up to the main office. If there's a line of kids, you have to wait. That's the stuff that's actually taking away from your instructional time if you're really getting that far into it. But I feel like the system we have now is fine, right? Lunch, they said there was a bit more of people talking to each other, but okay, you're gonna have once you're out of high school, and first of all, in the summer and on the weekend, and then once you're out of high school going to college, it's not like they're gonna take your phones away from you. You're still gonna have your phone. You're gonna have to learn how to deal with that, and how to be able to study effectively without your phone and limit it as a distraction. So nonetheless, you're gonna have to learn the skill anyway, and I don't know. I just think the system we have
The
now
best
is fine.
time is to do it in high school while you're not away from everyone.
Yeah, I think what we have works, and honestly, what I think is that if they take away the phones, whatever. I wish they would either take away the phones or take away the MacBooks because those are also going away next year. And that's really the big communication thing because you can still text your parents from the MacBooks. You can have a dialogue going all day long with whoever you want. But when you take away both of them, and they didn't do that yesterday, so that might have been one of the reasons why I didn't think it was so bad. Because I was still able to communicate with pretty much whoever I want. And I was texting my parents to communicate my schedule for the weekend. But next year, I do think it's going to be a lot worse without the phones or the MacBooks. But for the phone-free day, I don't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I want to address both your points. I'll go with you, Ben, first. I think that changing MacBooks isn't going to have, once again, I don't think it's going to be as detrimental of an impact on communication as we think. I think we're all severely underestimating the power of email, right? there was a time, like, I don't know why you guys think it's funny, because even if you're not on a MacBook, you can still access email. You can access email from a school-issued laptop, which is what they're going to institute next year. You can access it from your phone. You can access it from your MacBook. Is it a little less convenient than texting? Yes. But can you still actively hold a dialogue and rapidly send and receive messages? Yes, you can.
I disagree. I don't think my parents are checking their emails throughout the day, like, at all.
Also, like, why change something when it's working?
Yeah.
You know, like right now
Well,
the policy that's
But you can't go there because
why?
Dr. Nigel said he liked the policy we have now.
That's
but
what I'm
this
saying.
is coming.
So
This
if
is
it's
coming. This is
good-
coming from the state level, though.
But
You can't do anything
we're
about
saying
it.
in general, though. We're talking about in general. Like, why? Like, the policy we have right now is fine.
But just because it's working here, that doesn't mean it's working at however many other schools there are in the state.
okay,
You
that's
have to
fair.
think about it as a whole state, not just Bernard's High School.
We're one of something hundred schools in the state, and
But even-
it's bad. I think we also need to analyze the idea of taking phones out of the equation as not only within our Bernard's High ecosystem, but within every ecosystem of a high school in New Jersey, right? Like, we are under different circumstances. Every high school is under different circumstances, right? Like, we're a smaller school. Phone policy is relatively easy to control here. Compares to a school that has double, maybe triple the number of students, that becomes much harder. And so if you institute the same phone policy there, you know, you could have less success, right? That's triple the amount of kids you need to make sure don't have their phones on them during their person, and it makes other systems, like just taking the phone away from first bell to last bell, it makes it easier, and it makes it easier to enforce policies that arguably push students towards the active goal of high school, which is A, not only learning academically, but B, forging social relationships. And if we have phones on us, we are actively taking ourselves out of these social equations. Like yesterday, yeah, during study hall, could I have been doing work? Yes. Could my friends have been doing work? Yes. But, you know, we've used study hall in the past, even with our phones, as more of a time, as a break in the day, you know? But yesterday we were able to take that break of a day without the phones. And that allowed us to maybe connect with each other on a more interpersonal level rather than, oh, look at this cool video I found. It was more, oh, so how was your math class today, right? Like, there are more opportunities that arise when you take the phones out of the equation. And while that might not be on as great of a scale here, looking at bigger schools, it could be. So I think there's your kind of warrant for
You were talking
changing
about
a
bell to
system.
bell, right? So yesterday I walked in a couple minutes before the bell started, and I was told a couple steps into the building to put my phone away, put my watch away. And I was going to do that once I got to my locker, put it in my locker. But then I don't even know who it was. I'm walking into the building, and they're immediately saying for me to put my phone away. And that's when I'm still texting my parents, because I had just gotten out of the car, but some things I am texting my friends to see what we're going to do throughout the day. And not being able to use my phone yesterday, I don't know if this was everyone, but even before the bells rang, was kind of detrimental to me.
I think there's an element of just laying the line down hard to scare some students off
Yeah.
at the start. You know, we got to really enforce this so it's not an issue
But
first day of
would
school
that
next
be
year.
how effective would that be if it's before the bells ring? If we're saying that bell to bell is fine, but if I'm not allowed to do it before school,
All right, what time did
What
you
time?
walk into school yesterday?
7:30.
7:30, so it's 10 minutes. You couldn't be on your phone.
Yes.
I walked into school at 7:38, and I needed to text my mom, and I was able to do so, and I didn't get yelled at, right? But my phone was still in my bag by first bell. So I think that could just be an individual experience more than a shared experience.
Okay.
I kind of want to go back because I still think my point is valid of like when you go out into the real world, like you're still gonna be using your phone and it's gonna be a distraction. You know, like it just feels like okay, it could be great in like practice and you know like the idea of it's great, but like how effective is it in actually learning real skills?
I think
Because then if they go like after school, the kids are just gonna go right back on their phone and it's not solving any problem of addiction.
I think the less you have something, the more you want it. So the more kids that are going to try to go around it, or immediately, once they're out of high school, once they're out of school, are immediately going to go to Instagram, to TikTok, to whatever they might want to use because they were deprived of it during the school day.
See, I disagree. Like, I feel like that might be the case for the first 2 weeks. But once you get used to the system of not having it, like, yeah, it's going to stink for those first 2 weeks. You're like, man, I used to be able to do all this. But I think that you'll get used to it. And eventually that is going to contribute to reducing screen time and breaking a screen time addiction, right? And, like, you talk about preparing things for the real world. Why would we address a real world problem by saying, well, it's just going to be a problem later on, so let's not try and address it now, right? Like, by trying to address phones in high schools, you're trying to stymie that problem before it starts. So I think that the phone-free day is actively trying to combat the distraction you're talking about, right? Not saying, oh, we're just going to try and delay the distraction as long as possible, but more saying we're going to get ahead of this distraction, and we're going to treat the phones less as a distraction, more as a tool, and less as something that you can actively be addicted to.
But I think that would work if it was after school, not during the school. Because yesterday I had no free time. I had to do something during lunch. I had real classes every single period. Not any time that I would be able to go on my phone like study hall. And I noticed that after school, it's just like I did just go back on my phone like it was a normal day. And I think that's how it will be next year too, if it's like this.
Right, but even then you're saying, like, even when you do have your phone, what you do, the first thing you do when you get home is go on your phone. So, like, your screen time is still being reduced. You're just now,
how much?
However much you were on your phone during the school day. Like, it just feels like you're being more addicted to your phone because you're actually able to see, like, oh, here's how I act when I'm not having my phone, and then this is what I do the second I have my phone. I think that's just more you seeing the impact of how much time you spend on your phone more than the results of a phone-free day.
But I think that the issue school-wide is that the kids that have the real classes are not doing their work outside of school. I feel like in school it might be very helpful, but out of school, like, the school can't control what we're doing after school, and I think that while being a little bit more productive during the school day might work, people are still going to try to find a way around it.
I mean, I feel like anything the school does, people are going to try and find a way around.
I actually want to add something onto that. I feel like people being able to keep their phones in their backpack rather than it being up on the wall in a phone jail could increase the amount of cheating we see in classrooms. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, but with your phone, pretty much, I know it's not technically on your person, but it's right by your side in the desk that's 2 inches away from your backpack. I feel like cheating on tests is going to skyrocket next year.
Yeah, but then again, I feel like we see cheating on tests even with phones. Like, I mean, once again, like, the removal of phones isn't going to remove cheating, right? It's gonna.
I think it's going to do the opposite and actually increase it rather than keeping it the same.
I disagree. I think it's going to be the same. Like, the people who have been cheating, I think, are going to keep cheating. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop them. But I feel like people who aren't actively cheating aren't going to switch to the system.
They'll be tempted because it's now, instead of across the room up on the phone jail, it's going to be almost on their person.
Right, but I feel like, isn't the rule, like, it can't be visible in your bag either? Like, you can't have it outside?
But that's also just, you sneak it. That's what people do to cheat in the first place.
Right, but if people are already cheating, then how does it change? Anyways, Jack, you look like you have something you want to say.
No, I think we agree to disagree on these. I see some of the points you've made. I think hopefully you guys saw some of the points that we made. But that'll about do it for this episode of the Crimson Podcast. I've been Jack Martin, joined by Cameron Bong, Ben Balian, and Charlie Quinn. We'll see you next time.